spiritual counselor, I am a journalist, I am just a girl, and that's about it. Thank you for coming or coming back. It means the absolute world to me. And truthfully, I don't really have an objective for this video because, which makes my Capricorn Mercury very nervous, which funny enough, my Capricorn Mercury and I have been beefing a little bit because I feel like the Capricorn in me, and like let me know if you resonate with this at all, but like the Capricorn in me likes to look at everything I've experienced in life as a lesson, especially like every karmic partnership that I've ever had, and really like derive what I was meant to learn from every experience, and then sort of like take every lesson that I've learned and alchemize it into this like rule book that I'm supposed to live my life and abide by. And while it's gotten me very far, it's gotten me to accomplish a lot. I think my Aquarius Sun and my Pisces Venus, me just immediately right off the bat being crazy, both of those parts of me are really loudly trying to break my own rules and dance a little bit with where I'm at. You know, if my Capricorn Mercury that has been so led by discipline and doing things correctly has gotten me this far, it's time to like plant myself here and dance a little bit around my own rules and break my own rules and learn lessons through that. Which feels like it was a random tangent, but somehow ties into kind of like what I did know I wanted to talk about today, because, so like, fun fact, if you've been watching me, then you're typically used to like the background of my home. I lived in South Florida, and I will return to South Florida, honestly, in like a few months, really. But right now I'm in Spain. So I don't know if I've shared this on YouTube before, but I am half Spaniard and half American. My mom is from Madrid, born and raised, and so every year, except for the pandemic year, I would always come with her and we would visit our family. And Spain, especially Madrid, is my favorite place in the entire world. Because I mean, like, they got good food and they live good and everybody is attractive. Like, what else would you want? And so, I don't know, with the pandemic and my mom really dragging her feet, it looked like this was going to be another year where we didn't come. And it ultimately, it was this really large and loud question of like, am I capable of doing this by myself? Am I capable of getting my own apartment and not depending on my mom, or, you know, being dependent on whether she wants to come or not? And just like for a few months, like live with people that I don't know and be in a city that I do know, but I don't know it from the lens of like, I'm 25 and I'm alone, rather than like, I'm with my mom and I'm visiting my family. You know, it's a really different experience. And I'm gonna summarize what I want to talk a little bit about, which is I've been coming back to this saying, and someone on Instagram, I put a question on Instagram about like what your fears have taught you, and they responded with, they taught me to do it afraid, and like it being anything, just do it afraid. And that stuck with me so loudly, and it's kind of like what I boiled down my life to recently, is just do it afraid. Because girl, when I tell you, I've been saying that I was gonna do this, that I was gonna go to Spain for like a handful of months by myself for a while now, a very long time. And I had like valid reason to not do it before because the pandemic was wildin', but like I knew for a few months now that it would be a feasible thing to do, and I was so scared, like panicking, like full on panic. I had to get like the highest dose of CBD because THC was making my panic worse. And like I was losing sleep over it. I was like, and then one night, manically darling, at 3 a.m., I just woke up and I bought my plane ticket. Like I was in my slumber and I woke up and I was like, if I don't get this plane ticket, I'm never gonna go. And I just did it. And I knew that I had to take that energy, because if I thought about it too long, I wouldn't do it. And I think that is where my Capricorn Mercury comes in a little bit too loudly, when it's almost, it abides by the rules too closely to the point where I don't really get off the ground, and I'm always building and I'm always tunneling instead of like at least allowing myself to soar a little bit. I hope that makes sense. I realize I speak very metaphorically and like I make myself dizzy sometimes, but the point is that I pushed myself to do it, and up until the very last minute, I was so scared. I mean, my mom took me to the airport, and like me watching her walk out, and the thing is, I'm an only child and my mom and I are very close. It's basically just she and I. So like, to know that I'm gonna be in a different continent 6 hours away from her for this long of a period of time is something to wrestle with emotionally, but it's important that I do. I mean, honey, I'm a whole 25 years old, you know, so like it's throwing yourself in the lake that you figure out how to swim. And I think so much of what I've experienced these past few days being here is that you really have to do it afraid, because as scared as I was, the minute I stepped off that plane, I exhaled and I haven't stopped. I truly am at the most visceral space of peace that I have been in so long. And it's funny because I've been so anxious lately. The past few months have been really loud for me, and my anxiety and my sadness and like my emotional moody fluctuations have really been quite debilitating. And to be in a space where, yes, I'm in a new environment and I think that that does it, but also like I'm doing something that I know I really wanted to do, and I'm being explorative, and I'm being myself, and I'm being really present, and I'm not concerned and consumed by the rules that I made by myself, the rules that I made for myself, and the schedule I've kept myself on. I'm breathing free and I'm living, and I couldn't have done this had I not pushed myself over my own edge. And I say this with caution because I'm never one to demonize the comfort zone. I think it's important to live life comfortably, and like people who are always like, get out of your comfort zone. I don't know. Sometimes people don't really want to live that fear-induced, but I will say that if there is something that you desperately want that lies on the other side of that comfort zone, pushing yourself through it is always worth it. And so I wanted to talk about this because I hope that in some way this somehow can equate to something that you're going through. And it obviously doesn't have to be like a spontaneous move to Europe, but like, I don't know, whether it's a shift in career or a relationship that you want to go for, or like this new thing you want to study, whatever it is, I think it's important to know that like those that you see as brave don't experience life in the absence of fear. They simply use fear as a fuel, and they use fear as sort of like a companion. Like, oh, you're here. Okay, that means that what I'm going towards is really big. And I realized that I was so scared of this because this was huge for me. This was huge for my inner child, who finds a lot of comfort in being taken care of by my mom, but also a lot of comfort in exploring and being alone and being independent. And like she needed this. She needed to know that she could. And I don't know. I'll show you what I'm looking at. This is literally like my view from the balcony. Okay, whatever. That wasn't worth it. I didn't do that right. I don't know where I was at, but basically, if you want to do something and you're waiting for the fear to go away, it's not going to go away. It's not going to go away. It's kind of asking you to, I think, first and foremost, understand why it's there in the first place. And for me, I had to realize, like, I'm not scared of moving. Like, I'm scared of being faced with the fact that I'm going to have to take care of myself now. Can I do that? And I think ultimately I built a lot of comfort in my routine, because it was almost like I trauma bonded with my routine, right? Like getting through that pandemic meant that I had to make my every single day mean something to me and be some form of productive. And I feel like I spent so much time in that. And I saw so much that I built from it. I mean, YouTube is part of that, but like, I don't know, I think when you trauma bond with a habit, it's really important to break it once you have surpassed the moment. You know, I think obviously we're very much still in a pandemic, but we're past, at least I hope that we're past the harshest part of it. And I was still doing what I needed to do to get through that harshest part of it, because I was almost like, my wiring didn't understand what it meant to go back to, or rather not to go back to, but like reconfigure what I'm like and who this version of me is like in the outside world. And so I hope that I'm making sense. I'm just talking. I'm just feeling really reflective and really proud of myself, and I want to let myself be proud of myself. I don't want to like force myself to grow right now. I think that's also another rule that I give myself, to like extract a lesson out of everything. And mind you, I'm learning a very loud lesson right now, but I don't want to like dissect and like dilute it through that. I kind of just want to be in it. And so I'm challenging my Capricorn Mercury right now to just like dance around my own rules and to just kind of like be and learn through the being. And so yeah, ultimately, if there's something that you really want to do that lies on the other side of fear, grab fear's hand, understand what fear is showing you. So for that example, for me, fear was showing me, you know, girl, that inner child is scared. But I think fear shrinks once you understand what it is and where its voice is actually coming from. And my fear shrunk once I realized, like, oh, this is just like my codependence to my mom talking, and oh, this is just, I don't know, the insecurity that I feel in regards to like being self-sufficient and yeah. So look at the fear that's showing up in regards to what it is that you want to do or become or fly, and really get to know its voice, understand it, console it, rewrite the story, and bring it alongside you as you do it afraid. And you're gonna do it afraid. You're gonna be afraid up until the final moment, I promise you. I mean, on the plane here, I was like, how do I tell him to turn around? Like, how do I was like taking fucking CBD drops and like just full on. And now I'm here. And not to say that like fear doesn't, of course, show up in little ways, because we're still human, but honestly, not even, it really hasn't shown up. I'm sure it will at some point, but like I'm just really happy, which is such a weird thing for me to say. Because usually I'm like conditionally happy. Like sometimes I'm like, oh my god, I'm happy because like this like Mercury retrograde is aspected by Jupiter, so it's not gonna be that bad. But like no, I'm really just kind of basking in like existing right now, and I deserve to feel that. And I wouldn't have felt that had I not been brave. So whatever bravery looks like for you, just get to know her a little bit. That's all. Push yourself outside of your comfort zone. I've been doing that a lot lately. Pushing myself out of my comfort zone and do it afraid have kind of been like my mantras. But I went camping. Girl, not me vlogging. I went camping for the very first time ever in my life. Like 2 weeks ago to the Sequoia National Forest, and it was very out of my comfort zone. I got in touch with nature in a way that I don't think I ever could have had I not experienced camping, and that was really important to me and something I'll always remember. But I also couldn't shower for 4 days and couldn't use like the bathroom or like eat the things I was used to, and so I was very outside of what I deemed my comfort zone to be, but I also learned the most about myself through that. So and I had an experience that I would have never had I remained in my comfort zone, which is within, I guess, air conditioning. I don't know. I say that I'm a person who was like born to like live in a forest and forage for berries, but then when it happens, I'm like, oh, I'm more human than I think. Anyway, the point is, that second house stellium. The point is, yeah, I just challenge you to find your comfort zone, remain comfortable in challenging your comfort zone. And what I mean by that is that I don't want to demonize comfort by saying to challenge your comfort zone, but I think it's important to carry your home, carry your comfort, be your comfort. Make sure that like your inner world is anchored in peace and self-sufficiency and a good sense of self-worth, and know that there's nothing external that can break that relationship and that bond and that understanding that you'll have with yourself. And you'll always be comfortable if you are your own comfort zone. And so it was weird because even as loud as my like fear's voice was, I also always had me. I always had my brave voice. I always had my higher self's voice who kind of like held me through it. Because I do have a healthy sense of self, and I do have an anchoring in my being my own home. And so nothing can be scary if you are your own home, because you can always just come back to you. So yeah, I've been saying so much. It's because I really don't have any direction for what I'm doing right now. I really hope that this resonates or means something to someone, and if it doesn't, then maybe it'll mean something to future me who looks back on this and maybe needs a reminder to be brave. So future Jasmine, whatever you're going through, I mean, girl, same. And look at us, right? Who would have thunk? So yeah, you got this. Anyone who needs to know that they got it, they do. You do. Ooh, my ears are ringing. Okay, I'm gonna go. So I love you so much. If you want to connect with me, you can do so either by visiting jasminekylene.com or follow me on Instagram at jasminekylene. I do one-on-ones, I do workshops, I do whatever it is you want me to do, baby. Within my own comfort zone. Well, within my own boundaries. Okay, I'm gonna go. Bye.